Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain. I'm Rachel. I do have me some coffee. I do have me some books. Sorry, I have a little air bubble seems to be caught in my throat. I do not have rain, but who knows? Potentially this weekend. I, on the other hand, will not be in Huntsville this weekend. I will be heading to go to the beach, and I am so very excited as I am kind of recording a couple of episodes ahead of time so I don't have to rush to record while I'm away. Now, I probably will do at least one or two episodes, maybe three, while I'm down in Pensacola, just simply because I want to stay on track with the ones that I've got planned. And like I may not have all of my stuff with me, but I plan to have most of my stuff with me. So they may be kind of subpar quality, but my editing is fairly cruddy anyway. It's just me talking about books. Anyway, let's dive into this book that I have for you guys today, and it is The Emilie Adventures by Martha Wells. Now, this is Emilie number 1 and 2 put together in a single book, and I have not read the Murderbot Diaries yet, but I've heard a lot of really fantastic things. When I saw this on NetGalley to request, I eagerly jumped at the chance because I do like a really good kind of YA adventure. And that's what we get with the Emilie Adventures. Again, I have not, I guess, exposed myself to other Martha Wells writing. So for this being my first foray into her works, I decided, well, you know what? Let's just do it. So let's read the summary first, and I'm kind of letting my screen refresh because I clicked a button and navigated away. Here we go. Two novel-length YA steampunk adventures from the author of the wildly successful Murderbot Diaries. And so it was really just that simple tagline that I saw on NetGalley that I was like, heck yeah, let me read this. I know back in the early 2000s, I think somewhere around in there, steampunk novels were a pretty big thing. I even remember I went to a Halloween party where the theme was steampunk, and the host had done some really cool things. He had put paper up and made it kind of look like the inside of a submarine, and me and a friend group of mine, we all dressed up like steampunk versions of the Clue characters, which turned out really fun as well. But let us continue. Together in one novel for the first time, Emilie and the Hollow World, running away from home and stowing away on the wrong ship, Emilie embarks on a fantastic adventure. Emilie learns that the crew hopes to use an experimental engine to journey to the interior of the planet. But when the ship becomes damaged on arrival and evidence points to sabotage, they encounter the treacherous Lord Ivers, along with a strange new race. Can Emilie and her newfound friends possibly reach the surface world again? And then the second novel within this kind of duology tome is Emilie and the Sky World. When Emilie arrives in Silk Harbor, Professor Abindon, an old colleague of her friend Lady Maryland, and I think that's Marland. Sorry, I'm just pronouncing as I say it out loud. Warns of something strange and potentially deadly in the sky, a disruption in the ether current. On further investigation, they realize it's a ship from another etheric plane. How to determine if it's a friendly explorer or something far more sinister? Nothing less than a journey into the dangerous air currents will do. Join Emilie as she navigates the strange landscapes of the upper air and the deadly menace that inhabits the sky world. So there you go. Again, steampunk fantasy YA. I personally would probably say it can verge on the edge of possibly middle grade. It's not complex writing, so I think it could really go either way. But YA kind of suggests mid-teens and older, like mid-teens. In my personal thoughts, that's where I kind of put YA is kind of end of junior high into high school. I feel like this could be maybe geared towards just a little bit younger as well. Now, the total paperback for this looks like it's about 416 pages. I think on my ebook it was somewhere around 388, and it does release May 13th of 2025. So when I am in Florida. So let us scroll down a little bit and we will dive into my thoughts. So, one of the first things right off the bat is that the very first story, Emilie in the Hollow World, does, I guess, echo what is it? Journey to the Center of the Earth. Now, there's a little bit more sci fi steampunk in this because they are on a ship in the water that seems to be able to go down through almost like a portal, and away they go. Now, from the way it sounded in the first part of this book, Emilie is trying to stow away on a ship because her aunt and uncle are very controlling of Emilie's life. Emilie is right around 16 years old, and apparently when Emilie's mother was around this age, her mother ran off to be an actress, and her uncle and aunt did not think very highly of this. They thought she became like a floozy, a lady of the night, even though she ended up like getting married and having Emilie. So now they're worried that Emilie is going to become a quote unquote prostitute. And Emilie's like, that is absolutely not what I want to do. I would rather sail, but they of course won't hear it. They absolutely think she is trying to woo an older man, and I don't know where they get all these thoughts from, but they absolutely do not believe Emilie that she is interested in sailing. They think, oh no, she is just interested in, I guess, men at large. And Emilie's like, honestly, yeah, it's all really in this in an adventure novel. There's not really much romance of like between Emilie and other people that I would say is like, she's a reader of romantic stories, but I don't think she really, like, I think she romanticizes adventure stories, and maybe there's a heroine who meets a guy, but she doesn't focus on that part. She really focuses on the adventure. She's not there for getting the guy or anything like that. She's 16, so she seems to have a level of, I don't know, there is a level of kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. She's really focused on her goals, is, I guess, the best way to put it. But anyway, off she goes, off to the port, to the harbor, to find a ship that she can stow away on. And she's got one in mind, but she tries to get close to it, I think, and ultimately she does get on a ship. Now, when she gets on the ship, all of a sudden it is besieged with bandits of sorts, or raiders, and then there's this battle, blah, 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 and she ends up what sounds like, this is where I got a little confused, was it sounded like she fell through a portal while falling overboard with somebody else. It's what it kind of sounded like. And maybe I didn't really read that very well, but that's what it kind of sounded like. And then when she goes through this portal, she's now on the or not on the surface, but she's now on a different ship that's almost in an air bubble pocket traveling beneath the sea. Now, someone else does say that it kind of feels 20,000 leagues under the sea. And I mean, only a little bit because we are underwater. But really, the journey to the center of the earth is the one that I kind of keep going back to in my mind. Now, it's a classic book. I think, what, did Jules Verne write Journey to the Center of the Earth? I'm drawing a blank. It's been years, and I probably have it on one of my shelves out there because I have like a whole section of what I call classic literature, and it's probably somewhere on that shelf. But Emilie, she again stows away on the wrong ship. Now she's on this other ship. This adventure is off to a start because they don't try to kick her off. They don't try to return her to where she came from or anything like that. But it's kind of cute. It does feel like maybe a little Treasure Planet-ish too. Treasure Planet. Treasure Island. I guess Treasure Planet is the movie that's by Disney that is amazing, by the way, if you haven't watched it. But a little Treasure Island-esque because they are kind of more or less like pirates or adventurers, and it does have this kind of nostalgic vibe. Someone else calls it old fashioned, but I really kind of call that nostalgic in my personal opinion. The second of the two stories is one that I don't know, there was something that crossed my brain. I was like, so we kind of leaned into again, Journey to the Center of the Earth. So I kind of wondered if we had gone towards maybe Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels with the second one and gone to this spaceship, not spaceship, but like ship slash kind of sky city of Laputa. Now, if you've ever watched Miyazaki, he also has a Castle in the Sky movie, which is really cute and I love it a lot, but there was something about it that also gave me a little bit of those vibes as well. And we're just like a 16-17-year-old kid going on these adventures, having a good time, and I honestly thought it was really cute. It's not too serious and it's not too heavy-handed. It is, again, it has that nostalgic vibe of just writing an adventure for a kid, and that's why I do say I feel like it could fall into a middle grade category because it's not intense with just a ton of emotion. I mean, Emilie is bound and determined to meet her goals, to be an independent person without being under the thumb of her aunt or uncle. Whereas she just wants to live an adventurous life, and I think the characters are fairly level-headed. They're fairly practical. It's kind of fun because even though there's like this ether and this almost like electricity type of well, they talk about like I would say like Zeppelin type of things or airships or what have you, and I do just picture like the big kind of balloon that you see in, I think it's The Mummy 2, maybe The Mummy 2, or one of those. Well, anyway, the airship where it's like the boat with the balloon. Not so much of just a hot air balloon. So I kind of picture something like that. And I do feel like it's just fun. I think she's a competent character. She's sometimes not likable, but I do think we're kind of rooting for her. I think quite a few of the other characters are also pretty good as well. There is a little bit, like I said, of some sabotage when I mentioned it in the summary. So somebody on this ship is maybe not as kind as they appear, or maybe not as straight-laced as they appear. And I'm just trying to think, is what else did I want to mention about this? And I do see someone else even said that it feels more like an upper middle grade rather than what you would call like the current YA writing style. So just kind of looking at that, I would agree with that. We've had far too many what I would think is like Hunger Games knockoffs or Divergent sort of kind of books, and I feel like this one is just cute, simple. Adventures. You could read one, you can read both, you can read them out of order. I mean, I think if you read the second one before the first, you might be a little confused just simply because Emilie does go to Hollow World, the center of our Earth first, and then she goes up into the sky. So there you go. I was very happy to get both of these together in one book because, I mean, why the heck not? And yeah, I think that's what I have to say about this book. It's just cute. If you are looking for a YA upper middle grade book that you don't have to think too much about, you can just kind of go on a very YA Indiana Jones-esque adventure, Lara Croft Tomb Raider adventure, then maybe this is one that you want to think about. Maybe you have a kid or teenager or middle grader in your life who might also enjoy this book, and that would be perfectly fine as well. I have a niece who may enjoy this book. And so I was like, all right. But I think I was probably a good target audience for this, as just a person who is very open to this type of writing. I think some people who may pick it up just might find it a little juvenile, and that's okay too. It does take a lot of imagination to kind of picture some of the things in this book, but that's why I think younger people can probably picture it a little bit better. There is a sense of wonder and big imagination when you are younger. You are less limited in your ability to kind of think and perceive beyond. And I know when we get older, we get a little bit more like, oh, that can't happen. That's just, that's not real. And I try not to think in those manners just simply because, I don't know. That silly little phrase of even the word impossible says I'm possible. But I know, silly and cheesy, but there it is. I do want to thank you all so much for tuning in. If you have not liked and subscribed already, I certainly hope you will. The other day, someone asked me if they could share my videos, and of course you can. I have no issues with that. Whether you want to share it with your friends or share it with the author that I am reviewing, I don't mind. I just hope no one takes too much of offense if I provide what I hope comes across as constructive feedback or constructive criticism, because not every book is going to be perfect. Most of these books I do rank either between a 3.75 or a 4.25. Now there are a few that tend to rank about 4.5 or higher. And I mean, those are just my thoughts. But until next time, thank you so much for joining me on this journey, and I will see you all on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.